Animal Intelligence, an experimental study of associative processes in animals. The importance to comparative psychology in general of a more scientific account of the association process in animals is evident. Apart from the desirability of knowing all the facts we can of whatever sort, there is the special consideration that these associations and consequent habits have an immediate import for biological science. In the higher animals, the bodily life and preservative acts are largely directed by these associations. They, and not instinct, make the animal use the best feeding grounds, sleep in the same lair, avoid new dangers, and profit by changes in nature. Their hyper development in mammals is a chief factor in the supremacy of that group. This, however, is a minor consideration. The main purpose of the study of the animal mind is to learn the development of mental life down through the film, to trace in particular the origin of human faculty. In relation to this chief purpose of comparative psychology, the associative process lies the solution to the problem assumed a role predominant over that of sense powers of instinct, for in a study of the associative processes lies the solution of the problem. Sense powers and instinct have changed by addition of supersendence, but the cognitive side of consciousness has changed not only in quantity but also in quality. Somehow out of these associative processes have arisen human consciousness with their science, arts, and religions. The association of ideas, proper imagination, memory, abstraction, generalization, judgment, inference have here their source, and in the metamorphosis, the instincts, impulses, emotions, and sense impressions have been transformed out of their old natures. For origin and development of human faculty, we must look to these processes of association in lower animals. By this method of experimentation, the animals are in situations which call into activity their mental functions and permit them to carefully observe. One may follow it, observe personally more intelligent acts are included in any anecdotal collection. But besides affording this opportunity for purposeful and systematic observation, our method is valuable because it frees the animal from any influence of the observer. The animal's behavior is quite independent of any factor save in its own hunger, the mechanism of the boss it is in, the food outside, and such general matters as fatigue, disposition, etc. Therefore, the work done by one investigator may be repeated and verified or modified by another. No personal factor is present save in the observation and interpretation. Reasoning or inference. The first great question is whether or not animals are ever led to do any of their acts by reasoning. Do they ever conclude from inference that a certain act will produce a certain desired result, and so do it? The best opinion has been that they do not. The best interpretation of even the most extraordinary performances of animals has been that they were the result of accident and association or imitation, but it has after all been only opinion and interpretation, and the opposite theory presently reappears in the literature of the subject. So although it is in a way superfluous to give coup de grace to the despised theory that animals reason, I think it is worthwhile to settle his question once for all. The great support of those who do claim for animals the ability to infer has been their wonderful performances which resemble our own. This could not, they claim, have happened by accident. No animal could learn to open a latch gate by accident. The whole substance of the argument vanishes if, as a matter of fact, animals do learn those things by accident. They certainly do. Imitation. To the question, do the animals imitate? Science uniformly answers yes, but so long as the question is left in the general form, no correct answer to it is possible. It will be seen from the results of numerous experiments soon to be described that imitation of a certain sort is not possible for animals, and before entering upon that description it will be helpful to differentiate this matter of imitation into several varieties or aspects. The presence of some sorts of imitation does not imply that of other sorts. There are, to begin with, the well-known phenomena presented by the imitative birds. The power is extended widely, ranging from the parrot who knows 100 or more articulate sounds to the sparrow whom a patient shoemaker thought to get through a tune. Now, if a bird really gets in a sound in his mind from hearing it and sets forthwith to imitate it, as mockingbirds are said at times to do, it is a mystery and deserves closest study. If a bird, out of a lot of random noises that it makes, chooses those repetitions which are like sounds that he has heard, it is again a mystery why, though not as in the previous case a mystery how, he does it. The important fact for our purpose is that, though the imitation of sounds is so habitual, there does not appear to be any marked general imitative tendency in these birds. There is no proof that parrots do muscular acts from having seen other parrots do them, but this should be studied, at any rate until we what sort of sounds birds imitate, what circumstances or emotional attitudes these are connected with, how they them, and above all, whether there is in birds which repeat sounds any tendency to imitate in other lines, we cannot, it seems to me, connect these phenomena with anything found in the mammals or use them to advantage in a discussion of animal imitation as the forerunner of human. In what follows they will be left out of account, regarded as a specialization removed from the general of mental development, just as the feathers or right aortic arc or birds are particular specializations of no consequence for the physical development of mammals. For us, henceforth, imitation will mean imitation minus the phenomena of imitative birds. Conclusion. Finally, I wish to say that although the changes proposed in the conception of mental development have been suggested somewhat fragmentarily and in various connections, that has not been done because I think them unimportant. On the contrary, I think them of the utmost importance. I believe that our best service has been to show that animal intellection is made up of a lot of specific connections, whose elements are restricted to them, and we should subserve practical ends directly, and to homologize it with the intellection involved in such human associations as regulate the conduct of a man play tennis. The fundamental phenomenon which I find presented in animal consciousness is one which can harden into inherited connections and reflexes on the one hand, and thus connect naturally with a host of the phenomena of animal life. On the other hand, it emphasizes the fact that our mental life has grown up as a mediation between stimulus and reaction. The old view of human consciousness is that it is built up out of elementary sensations, that very minute bits of consciousness come first and gradually get built up into the complex web. It looks for the beginnings of consciousness to little feelings. This our view abolishes and declares that the progress is not from little and simple to big and complicated, but from the direct connections to indirect connections, and which a stock of isolated elements played a part, if from pure experience or undifferentiated feelings to discriminations on one hand, to generalizations, abstractions on the other.